Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of the Decanted Portfolio, a podcast on wine and financial markets.
Hi guys, how are you? This is Bastien, live from Singapore.
Not in Madrid, evidently. I'm on the other side of the planet in a very tropical place visiting
So
family.
this is the Decanted Portfolio episode number 22. We are on the 27th of March. And let me quickly start by presenting our sponsor, Pantar.ai. So Pantar.ai is an autonomous investment engine that adapts your portfolio to shifting market conditions. So please go on our website, www.pantar.ai, and have a
Usual
look.
disclaimers: this is not financial advice.
Please drink responsibly.
So you know that this podcast is usually connecting the dots in between the performance in financial markets in the last week and wine regions or grapes or producers or bottles that in our mind make sense or are connected with the events in the marketplace up to the end of the last week.
Today, I made the decisions to talk about a champagne. So a champagne named Ruinart Black de Blanc, and champagne to celebrate sharp, crisp liquidity.
And the protagonist, the event which continues to be the most important for financial market, continues to be the war in Iran. Okay, it feels more and more that this will be a prolonged conflict, which is not necessarily paced by the United States in the way that continues to be disclosed to the press. And so, with these fears that the disruptions in the production and distribution of oil around the world from the Strait of Hormuz or from the Gulf continues to push the price of Brent to very high levels. The Friday closing was $114 for Brent, okay? And as we publish in our newsletter weekly, go on pantaray.substack.com, the elevated price of oil is doing different things to different asset classes. First, of course, if energy prices are going up, everything will cost more. So one of the main concerns will be about inflation. And if inflation will appear again, and actually prices have never been really controlled, at least in the US, by central banks, if prices will continue to be higher, central banks and the Fed specifically will not be able to cut interest rates. Actually, it's more likely that interest rates will be hiked. Higher interest rates means that fixed income is not really working, yields are going higher, short and long duration, prices of bonds are going lower. The S&P is suffering. In the past week has done -3. Europe has been flat, but Europe has been losing already in the past few weeks, as Asian markets. So all assets are down year to date, with the exception of Brent and commodities in general. Gasoline, energy prices, gas and oil, because also gold continued to underperform. In this last week, gold has been flat, around $4,500 per ounce. Euro stocks, we said that has been flat, but all assets which are in core portfolios for everyone continue to be negative. Okay, so the good news is that in Panta Readapt we have a much better relative performance, but I will invite you to go into our newsletter this week to check for the details. Okay, so
if we think about the champagne I want to talk today, I want to talk about the Ruinart Blanc de Blanc. So first of all, few words about Ruinart. Do you know, or did you know, that Ruinart is the oldest champagne producer in the world? This house has been founded in the 18th century, in 1729, on September 1st, and that's the oldest one. So, of course, they know how to make champagne, soon celebrate their 300th birthday, of course, in 2029, in 3 years from now. Chardonnay is their signatures. So they are one of the few champagne house which put a majority of Chardonnay in their wine. And therefore, I think it's natural for me to talk about this one, which is a Blanc de Blanc. So white from white, which simply means that it's 100% Chardonnay. So when you look at that wine, you immediately see the bottle, which is a very nice bottle, which is like exactly how the first bottle of Ruinart champagne were. And it's also transparent, so you can see the juice. So it's beautiful. You see the beautiful pale golden yellow color of this champagne. In terms of nose, when you open your bottle and you smell it, it's very fresh. It's very, you have some hints of pears. You have floral notes and white peach as well. So it's very interesting, very floral, and it's very, very elegant. Palette, you will find some tension and some roundness. I mean, it's a very well balanced wine because Chardonnay usually brings some acidity, and that's why also it can age for many years. That's the beauty of acidity. If you want to age a wine, it needs to be acid, and it's also crisp, and you can have also some chalky mineral finishes. You will also have some brioche and some butter taste, which I think are really lovely when you drink that kind of champagne.
So the wines I would like to talk about this week because of this topic are wines that, like the price of oil, are dark in their color, in the skin of the main grapes, which we will discuss today. And we go into Uruguay. Not many of you will know Uruguay because we are in a very small, if important, beautiful, new and emerging wine region. Uruguay has the weather like Bordeaux on the ocean, relatively cool at night with warm summers, but freshness, air and different temperatures are fantastic for the grapes there. So we discussed in a number of previous episodes about the Malbec in Argentina. We started mentioning about Chile, and Uruguay is also there, north of Argentina, north of Buenos Aires. And Uruguay was born as a land of wine because of one French grape as well, which is not the Malbec, is Tannat. Tannat is coming from the south of France, from a region close to Toulouse, where the Tannat never became very famous. It's a very tannic, from this the name, comes the Tannat. Is a very tannic, strong, grippy type of wine that didn't have a lot of success in Europe. But in Uruguay, similarly to the Malbec in Argentina, a new land, different light, different oceanic weather made the grape fantastic with softer tannins, important, powerful, but very, very silky. So Tannat in Uruguay is the same development or concept that made Malbec in Argentina famous. Okay, so we have this rich, important red wine. By the way, the Tannat grape is considered to be one of the healthiest on the planet because it's full of polyphenols and antioxidants. And so it is also very good for your health. Of course, don't abuse with alcohol, which was part of the initial disclaimers. So Uruguay is all planted in vines, and it is divided in 6 regions from the oceanic and central Montevideo side inside to the center and the north of Uruguay. I would say that the most famous, also nicer to be visited by tourists showing up there, is the coastal part, where you will have the Tannat, which occupies 27% of the total grapes planted. But there are also some white wines, notably Albarino is being planted, but also Moscatel de Hamburgo, which is a thick grape producing rosé wines coming from the Spaniards and the Portuguese, which is famous mainly in Uruguay because it's not usually produced and consumed elsewhere. Okay, so Moscatel de Hamburgo, Tannat is the most important. We also have Merlot, we have Albarino, and we have other grapes that are being experimented with. Most important producers there, Garzón, okay, which is like the Catena in Argentina, and Bouza. Both Garzón and Bouza do excellent whites, including international varieties like Chardonnay, the Albarinos that we mentioned, but Tannat is the red star. The red grapes are 70% of the total production there. So with this Tannat in Uruguay, not only we have a grape which is close to black, The wines are very intense, very dense. The color is very dark, but despite having more body than the normal Malbec, you have this important and powerful blend that is very soft and very silky. And to my personal taste, like the Malbecs, can be consumed with or without food. Food and your meat, your steak, your cheese are not needed like they would be for a Brunello di Montalcino, for example, to be enjoyed in general. Tannat, depending on the year, the part of Uruguay, and the season or the occasion, they tend to have different matchings and also different smells. But you will find always a big marmalade of red fruit, starting from the plum being the central fruit there. There will be cardamom as a spice. You will find licorice, but you will also find some smoke. This ahumado, smoky flavor that is excellent with the Uruguayan or Argentinian paella. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so if you don't know wines from Uruguay and you happen to be into a steak restaurant around the planet, when you find the Tannat from Uruguay, don't hesitate to try it. Of course, in Spain, there are many examples. Harder to find in Italy, easier to find in the United States and in Latin America, of course. So I would propose for you to go into Garçon Tannat Reserva or in a beautiful Bosa Tannat. Try and let us know what you think, okay? Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.